Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 7th episode of Sonic Talk Transformed. If you're listening to this today on Monday, the 30th, you'll know that you probably have already heard the news about Sonic and All Stars Racing, and that's what we'll be talking about today. With me today is Alex, aka Knuckles87.
Yo.
And from Sonic Stadium, our boss there at Sonic Stadium, Sven Joscylene AKA Dreadnux.
Hello, how you doing?
Hail Sven!
Doing great.
Oh, guys. Oh, not worthy or anything. Hi, how's it going?
Doing great, doing great. Okay, now both me and Alex flew to San Francisco last Tuesday.
Sega invited us. Well, they invited our psychs anyway.
They were at our sites, yeah, and then we just RSVP'd from there. And that was my first airplane trip in over 20 years. I was trying to find out the best mode of transportation, and the airplane was just the fastest and only slightly more expensive. The only problem is
And
I had to come back the next day, so I really didn't get to tour San Francisco much.
it was my first plane ride since I took a plane ride to get to PAX East back like April 3rd.
Oh, you
So
you're flying all the time, so that's not a big deal for you.
yeah. Though oddly enough, it's still not enough to get a decent amount of frequent flyer miles. You bastards.
Well, I managed to see the game as well back in the UK. It was quite funny actually. I got the invite from SOA for the Sonic Stadium, and it was quite obvious I wasn't going to make that one. It's like, hey, come to San Francisco, and I'm sitting there in London going,
Yeah,
be a
you
bit of
probably
a
should have sent that to me a little bit sooner because I was doing a lot of last minute planning.
yeah. I wasn't sure who to send. And I thought, hang on a minute, you guys are awesome. I was you guys, and I thought that in an American accent as well, clearly. So yeah, but obviously because beyond TSS, I'm a games journalist as well. I actually saw the game I think about a week before the American press event. There was a UK kind of small gathering to see the game, so I've seen it too. So yay, we can all see
Yay!
about it.
Yay!
And yeah, I mean, it's funny that you guys talk about taking the plane, and obviously that's the best mode of transport because Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed does feature airplanes, and it does feature cars, and it does feature hoverboats, all in one.
Oh yeah, in fact, they showed ours at a go-kart racing track with the
And
small
we got to
press
go
event.
go-kart racing. I got to overcome my childhood fear of go-karts, and it was a harrowing tale of development and stuff.
You went to a go-kart place?
Yeah,
Yeah.
where did you go?
Man, well, to be fair, like I went to the Soho Hotel, which is a place that a lot of companies, publishers host some of their showcase games. But yeah, there was no go-kart track in the Soho Hotel. There was barely any celebrities in there that day. Normally, it's usually the place where a bunch of celebs go and crash out. I think they do have a few kind of big TV show showcases there as well for the UK and invite American stars and all sorts. But yeah, this particular day was Sonic and All Stars Racing, and they had this small room in a basement. Not basement, that makes it sound like it's a warehouse, but in a kind of underground area of the hotel, which was more like a kind of bar type area. It had a nice little cinema as well. So yeah, it was pleasant. But yeah, it was a lot less flash than the stuff that Sega obviously organised for you guys. Oh, way to go karting!
Yeah,
Yeah.
the funny thing is, I think Sega rarely actually does stuff like this. I've never, because lots of publishers will take their game developers skydiving and stuff, and this is the first I've heard of Sega actually doing something like this.
Yeah,
I think yeah, I think it's quite rare in. I don't know. I'm not an American journalist, but it's certainly something that I'm aware of that happens more in the UK rather than the US. Probably because it's quite expensive to invite so many American journos, just due to the sheer size of the country, to invite them over to here, there, and everywhere.
Oh well,
But
they
well,
just
even then,
invited
yeah,
people,
we only got a hand. There was only a handful that showed up.
and Jeff Gertzman, who lives in the city, I believe.
Yeah, from Giant
He
Bomb, he was
had a
invited.
badge there, and he wasn't even there, which kind of sucks because I wanted to see him and talk to him about Kane and Lynch and be very insulting and never want to talk to me again.
Yeah, I did get to see what
Well,
the GameSpot offices are though, and took a picture of that, and as well as
And we
passing the Sega offices.
and we did get to see someone who is apparently quite popular from Nintendo Power. Of
Chris
course, I don't
Hoffman.
read Nintendo. Yeah, Chris Hoffman. Yeah, that guy.
well, so you almost brushed shoulders with the up and up, did you?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a guy from Game Trailers and a guy from OXM, but
And
the most
Destructoid.
most of them are our age now, and I only read those magazines when I was a gross teenager. So, yeah,
Yeah,
wasn't
nobody I
really
really
that
recognize
exciting.
outside of Chris Hoffman. Nobody really recognized too much.
But yeah, Nintendo Power was there, meaning that yes, we are getting a 3DS version of this game. Though they should have announced that, I guess, by now, by the time people hear this. So we gonna get this show on the road?
Yeah, we're doing it. All right, and so yeah, it cost me quite a bit of cash to get over there, but I decided, what the heck, haven't been out of San
A little bit
Francisco.
of cat's cash.
Yeah, it
Plus,
cost
you
me
kind
about
of,
$175 for the airplane trip there and back.
plus you kind of promised George, and then you start second guessing yourself, and you
Yeah.
start saying, "Well, you promised George, so you kind of have to go now."
Well, once I knew I had company, I was like, well, I better go.
Yeah. So yeah, we got to go-kart racing. I was in last place. Jason was in second to last place, but I was only in last place because I'm a very careful driver. I'm very prudent. I make sure to signal and pull over when people are behind me. I'm a very
God,
very courteous driver, and that's
he
why I was
was,
in last place. But I was just driving for fun, so that's why I was in last place. You don't
he,
want to
he was
see
slowing me
me.
down, man. I was having a hard time passing him.
Only
Like
the first time. The second
he was
time
in
it
the
was
middle.
all you. Second time was all you.
I
Though
was
we
having
did
fun. I was
actually
speeding
go.
around, drifting,
Yeah,
doing
I
those
drifted
skids.
once, and it was exciting.
I don't
Yeah,
think drift driving like a regular person is the way forward if you want to win at go-karts. I think, didn't you have a couple of banana peels on you to mess
Oh,
everyone else up? Or
oh well, I did pack a few banana peels, but I kind of got the penalty box for that.
yeah. To be
But
honest, we only did
Aaron,
the
go on.
warm up and then the qualifier. But about after that, which with the qualifier we thought was the race. We were so tired and hot from those engines afterwards, we didn't even bother with the main race.
Well, I was
So
hot from that massive monkey suit they make you wear.
yeah, plus the tight helmet, and then
Looked like a
after
cat.
on the main race, poor Aaron Weber, the brand manager on a lot of Sonic games, he got sick on the track. They had to,
This Sonic game.
yeah, pull him off.
everyone got sick on the track.
Yeah, yeah, he was in the penalty box, and we were thinking, "Oh my God, what did Aaron do to get stuck in the penalty box? Did he try to run someone off the track?" And I was like, "No, no, he got sick." Because
He just got nauseated. Yeah.
I was
Well,
thinking,
Anyway,
"Wow, Aaron must be a very violent driver."
I
and
can't imagine Aaron Webber being aggressive at all in any way, shape, or form.
And Aaron Weber's name on the track was Dreamcast 3. Hint,
He's a
hint,
legend.
fanboys.
He,
yeah,
he is a total legend. I've seen pictures of him cosplaying as Vice at corporate Sega parties. So he's a big old Sega fanboy, isn't he?
yeah,
Oh yes.
and he was doing pretty good on the track for a while. He had a decent time, but I could understand it. He said he didn't have enough to eat really. Anyway, on to the main game. They showed off to everybody all at once. I was taking notes at the time, and Alex here nerded out when they showed Panzer Dragoon on the track for the first time.
Wow. Okay, I didn't say it like that, but
He goes, "Oh, Panzer Dragoon!"
The eyes widened.
no one else, no one else there knew what the fuck that was. They were just going, "Oh, hey, look, it's a track with water and a dragon."
Doesn't understand. It's Panzer Dragoon.
Yes, it's Panzer fucking Dragoon, motherfuckers. The best game ever made.
The Panzer Dragoon track is particularly awesome because I'm assuming you saw the same as I did, which was
Oh
two
yes.
tracks. One was a Super Monkey Ball track, and
Yeah,
one
the
was a
Panzer
Panzer
Dragoon.
Dragoon track.
Yep.
The Panzer Dragoon track was most interesting because the Super Monkey Ball track, if for anyone listening, if you've played the first All Stars Racing game, it was basically a lot like previous Monkey Ball-esque tracks, but the
Yeah, it's
Panzer
much more
Dragoon was
traditional.
something else entirely. Really took advantage of the different vehicles that your kart can transform into, and also on every lap the whole thing transformed, didn't it? Like
Yeah,
you were kind of playing with dragons on the third lap, which is completely different route to how you were playing on the first lap. It was just amazing. It was awesome.
Yeah,
yeah,
and there's a shell coof flying through the air, blasting lasers with surrounded by all these monsters. And as you're driving, you catch different dragons. Like at one point, the dragon from Panzer Dragoon Saga, at least one of the transformations, it just kind of flew overhead real quick. I was like, what was that? It's like all these different things that just pop out of nowhere. They just filled the level with stuff.
yeah. That's what I really loved about that track. Every single time you went around, the track would change because basically the first time around you're going through the canyon, you're making tight turns around on a normal track. You go around that first turn again for the second time, and all of a sudden the airship just blasts your track away, and then you drop into the water, and then you're going down the canyon river with huge waves going around. You can do tricks on those waves. And then after that, you're going back almost to the first turn again. Then the dragon blasts your track
No,
one
no, it's
more
not
time.
dragon. It's a giant worm thing from Panzer Dragoon Orta. You get chased by it in the second level.
Okay.
It's a sub boss. It's not a dragon.
Okay. Anyway, that one blasts your track away, and now you're just flying through the air
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
and hitting the
it was a
boost
great
things.
showcase of the new features of the game, because the first lap you're on wheels, it plays pretty much the same as you remember it from the first ASR game, and then the second lap, as you said, you go into the water and you transfer your car automatically transforms into a hovercraft type deal, and then
Motorcraft.
in the third lap you're in the air. Your car transforms into a plane, and you're off in the air trying to go through, I don't know, these flying speed boost ring things and
Yeah.
stuff.
And you're dodging those hanging planks from Panzer Dragoon Orta that shot things at you, and you can shoot them with missiles and knock them out and knock them off and stuff.
There's a
That's it.
bit in that lap actually where on the plane you kind of have to navigate through various branches. Like there's two huge kind of branches. You have to kind of either go over the top or go in the middle, or go through the middle, through the gap. And I just ended up like completely screwing it up and just went full pelt into the actual branch thing. So I just went in between the actual two gaps instead of in between the two tree branches. So I was like, I am a fail. They've kind of tweaked the trick system as well. I mean, if you remember in ASR, you pressed the either triggers or the bumpers to have your little Sega character do a little trick in the air, and then if you landed it and you got back in the car in time, by the time you hit the tarmac again, you got a speed boost. This time around, you actually do a barrel roll. Your
Yeah.
trick now is a barrel roll. So like
Well,
Pepe O'Hare, like, do a barrel roll.
Yeah,
So
they have to have someone tell you that in the training part of the game. Just have a random rabbit say, "Do a barrel roll."
yeah. I wonder
yeah,
if that's the limit of it, or if there's going to be more tricks than that to it.
By the way, I don't remember. Could you drift in the airplanes?
I
I
don't know.
don't remember. I don't think so. You could drift in the hovercraft a bit. You could get
Yeah.
a tight turning in that.
I think you
But
could bank. I think you could bank, but I'm not sure you can actually. Banking is almost the same as drifting, really, but I don't know if you could actually boost out of it.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we that was the one we got to experience the least. So it's just a detail I don't remember. It's been
So
annoying me.
basically, just for readers to understand, if you're in the water, like with the watercrafts, it's kind of like Hydro Thunder or Wave Runner, those kind of games. So that you got your wave physics going, your water physics doing real well. When it's in the air, it reminds me a little bit of like Diddy Kong Racing when you're doing the flying through there.
Yeah, I
Although
agree.
it's a
Yeah,
little tighter, it's a little more airplane physics than that, I should say.
Plus, it's cooler because it has Sega characters.
Yeah, Super
hmm
Monkey Ball was a little more vanilla than the
Well,
Panzer
yeah, it's
Dragoon
Super
one.
Monkey Ball. The whole series is basically vanilla these days because there's just been so many of them.
Well, I mean, there's no flight in that one. It's just watercraft and regular track racing up in the air.
Yeah, but there is a whirlpool, and I don't know if either of you have been able to do this, but I was actually able to send my little boat flying over the whirlpool. I still don't know how I did, but I was somehow able to just get a jump out of it.
Oh, really? No, I wasn't able to do
Yes.
that. I just had a tight turn around it, but well,
I
that didn't
pray to
screw
God
me
it
up.
wasn't a bug.
What screwed me up was the little narrow hallway that came right after, and I'd end up smashing into the walls a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to kind of clarify, I don't know if you explain this area, but it is like just a big, it's a whirlpool inside a cave, isn't it? Like a big kind of
Yeah, kind of like in
triangular
a
cave.
temple thing,
And
yeah.
there's like 3 entrances to get in. There's like 2 at the side, and if you go into the 2 at the side that I've noticed, you kind of catch the whirlpool on either the left or the right hand side. So you kind of got to boost out or do something crazy. But if you go through the middle, I think, like Alex did, I think you go through the middle, it's kind of like a higher route. So if there's like I think there's a speed boost there, isn't there? That if you catch it at the right point, you can kind of boost right over the whirlpool, and then yeah, as we said before, there's like a mirror path, and once you go through it, it kind of warps you back to the beginning of the track, which is a bit disorienting at first because you're kind of like, what?
Yeah,
That's
I'm
a bit
wondering if this track is actually complete or else they just kind of mishmashed it together because you start inside the water, but you're almost immediately dropped back onto the road, onto the track. And it seems like the one part at the end, the water's just hovering there instead of falling over like a waterfall. So and plus with the warp right at the end, I'm wondering if I don't think the track is completely finished yet. At least it doesn't seem like that to me.
well. I asked about it, and I didn't exactly get a straight answer, but it seemed to me that it was their way of getting around certain things. Like when you're at that whirlpool point, I think you're pretty much at the bottom of the track, and to actually get back to the starting point, you actually end up having to go. You would have to otherwise go up somehow. So I think to kind of cut out the fact that there would be instead of making the track twice as long to actually make the track loop around, I think they did that just to kind of make it a bit easier for them to develop. But um, either way, I don't remember any tracks on ASR, the original ASR, being quite like that. Um, but yeah, the Super Monkey Ball track, Temple, the Panzer Dragoon stage was called Ruined Empire, I think, and
A
Super Monkey
ruined palace.
Ruined Palace, that's it, and Super Monkey Ball one was Temple Tumble, and that was interesting. I mean, I think what Sumo Digital have done compared to last time around is that with every single lap, there's something going on. The tracks are a lot more dynamic. So whereas earlier on, as I said, the Super Monkey Ball track's a lot like the Super Monkey Ball levels that you play in ASR, it kind of evolve as you go on. Like totem poles kind of shove themselves up through the ground as you're kind of going through, and things get a lot more mental. And yeah, it's a lot more kind of engaging, I think.
It's true. I was gonna say, so did anybody play as Vice or
Yes.
Gilliam?
I played as Vice and as Gilius. And as
Bison,
Knuckles.
yeah, Bison Gilius, 2 new, well deserved and well requested characters, I believe.
Well,
Still
Vice
no knights,
anyway.
though. Still no knights yet.
Well, there'll be Nikes. There'll be Nikes. There will be Nikes. I'm not going on any knowledge that I know, but I'm just going to predict that there's going to be Nikes, and there has to be.
I
After all
asked him.
the internet outrage last time, I think they're gonna have him in this time.
I did ask Sumo Digital about knights. I was like, "Don't forget knights," and the guy was like, "Well, we've kind of we can't say anything, but we certainly haven't forgotten about him."
Well,
I was
let's
like,
just think about it for a second. Nikes can turn into a boat, and he can turn into a car, and he can fly. Now, what are the 3 different kinds of terrain in this game?
Yeah, there you
Uh,
go.
Using those masks from Journey of Dreams, you can.
I'd rather they use just classic Nikes, because he could do transformations without the mask.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Although I would like to see Dolphin Knights. the Mark transformation. That was a pretty cool transformation. It was a bit like Echo, but purple. It was rather cool. The items have all changed around, haven't they, this time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all placeholders.
Yeah.
They seem to do pretty much. I'm a bit confused because they seem to do exactly the same job as the weapons that you find in the first game. Sumo Digital just seemed to have decided that they wanted to completely change the design of them. So instead of the standard rockets that you get in ASR, in ASR Transformed, the icon's like a snowman or something, isn't
There's
it?
the
And then
snowballs.
Yeah.
you can
And
throw
you
snow.
freeze people.
Sumo told me that they hadn't finalized the designs of those weapons yet, so they're kind of placeholders. So we shouldn't take them at face value, but I'm still a bit confused as to why they changed them so dramatically. Maybe it's because they wanted to make it completely and 100% feel different, I guess, presentation wise from the last game. I don't know.
Well, I would say the snowball weapon was more like a the punching the
Gloves.
Punching
yeah
gloves, similar, yeah.
boxing gloves, yeah, because both of them were kind of dummy fire, whereas the missiles they home in on things.
Seems like the snowballs, you get more of them than you did the punching gloves, because this time there's obstacles you have to actually shoot out of your way besides the just shooting your rivals.
And there's also those puffer fish things that don't look anything like puffer fish when you fire them. Well, I think they're supposed to be mines or something, but did they ever do anything?
Yeah, they were
I
mines.
think they were mines. You plopped them behind you and hoped someone would run into them. I think.
Yeah, I remember. I don't think I've ever actually been blown up by one of those things while I was racing. I'm not sure if they were. Jason, did you ever get hit by one?
Yeah, they are just basically mines. That's
all right.
That's all I can tell you.
I guess I was just able to avoid them.
What I found cool was the cars are all different from the last game, but obviously because they're kind of hybrid cars now, like with multiple different vehicles. But not only are they completely different, but they're kind of themed depending on what world they're from. Like for example, Amigo from Somebody Amigo, his vehicle, he drives around on a train.
I rode as him too.
When it hits the water, it transforms into a Samba fused steamboat. So he's running along like steamboat, kind of willy like Mickey Mouse, and then it's a biplane when it goes into the air, like a proper World War II style like biplane sort of thing. I'm just like, that's awesome.
Yeah,
there
that's
are
what
other
I
things
liked about his. It's all steam based, basically.
Yeah, but very yellow, very yellow. Gilius, I noticed he was riding an eagle at one point, and then a turtle, and then a bull. So the eagle's obviously the air, and the turtle is most likely the sea, and the bull is like his kind of vehicle on the ground. But it's they're all kind of taken from obviously the Golden Axe games, where you can ride these animals and things and take advantage of them. So that's pretty cool as well. So.
Well, sort of. They said that that the vehicle itself was completely original, but they just wanted to build something that would fit in the Golden Axe world, which I think it's actually one of the cooler looking vehicles. And then of course we have Vice and his little mini Delphinus.
That is pretty wicked.
Yeah. Jason, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You're being very quiet.
I'm being quiet.
He's just in awe.
Come on, wake up, get in the mood, man.
I'm listening. Yeah, it was the mini little airship. I didn't get to drive as that character, so I didn't see how it transformed exactly.
Yeah,
Sonic's car was pretty close to its original design, except
a
new engine in the back. Well, no, it wasn't exactly. The engine was different in the back, and of course, when it dropped in the water, then it changed again.
It's more like the Batmobile now, isn't it? Like a blue Batmobile.
Yeah, kind of a blue Batmobile, but yeah, pretty much. And of course, somebody at the press event said, "Well, why does Sonic have to drive a car anyway?" Well, this one he's gonna have to because you drop it to the water.
I hope you responded with "Welcome to 2010."
Yeah, really.
Oh no, it wasn't. Didn't ask us. It was a
With some
one of
press
the other,
guy asking that, but of
yeah.
course they were
And I
just
was going to ask that question. Now I heard him ask. It's like, damn, I was going to do that.
yeah. But of course this time Sonic has to drive in the car because that car turns into a boat, turns into a plane. He's got no other options.
Well, I remember this question being asked way back in when the original ASR was being developed, and Sumo actually said that, well, originally the original Alpha or something for All Stars Racing, the original wasn't going to even involve cars. It was going to be Sonic and the rest of the characters on foot. And there is the kind of argument that yes, if Sonic was on foot, he'd own everyone.
Yeah.
But it's kind of it was apparently the whole system was more akin to Sonic R, where everyone was kind of on a level playing field and the turning controls were shit. But yes, you go along this, and I think they realised that the balancing just didn't work out. They couldn't figure out how certain characters could run on foot whilst kind of staying with everyone else. And I think also there was issues with sort of like how you would control these characters. Like, would you control them as a third-person action game, like something like, I don't know, Sonic Adventure, where you just hold up to move, or would it be more like a racing game style where you hold a button to run, like in Sonic R, for
That'd
example?
be weird.
So they realized that it just wasn't really going to work out, so they just went with the cars. I guess if you keep it interesting enough for people to kind of dismiss that question, then seems legit to me. I don't mind. But
Well, to be fair, the journalist was kind of joking.
oh yeah, no, I get that. I get that. But yeah, it's interesting how, a lot of fans would actually ask that question seriously, and yet there is this kind of subset of development that actually happened where they actually did what they wished, and it actually didn't work out to be a good game at all. So yeah.
Yeah,
Now
there
we
you
have what
go.
we have.
I want Shadow to star in a dark game.
Yeah, that
Hey,
worked
hey,
out well.
I, I thought that was crap. Well, you asked for it.
I want a game with the Chaotix and Rouge and Knuckles and Shadow and Tails.
I want to bring up the All Star moves for a second because they are kind of built up and accessed differently to the last
Yes,
game,
very
and
differently.
I'll get this out of the way now for everyone who's wondering. You can use All Star moves online now in Transformed, and the world breathes a collective sigh of relief.
Yeah, that's something
So
that wouldn't exactly confirm at our event that whether it was going to be even online mode yet. They couldn't confirm, but they
well,
did,
then
they did tell us that they were planning if they to have all stars in multiplayer.
I can tell you, Sumo told me that yes, they can do all star moves online. So
Yay!
Well,
it
that's
was. I think it's probably down to how
uh,
they've actually established it now. Because before, if you were lagging behind in a race, you'd pick up an item and you'd randomly pick up an all star move, which you could then use to kick everyone's ass and climb up the ladder. But I think it was a combination of randomizing it so it was fair for people online to receive these all-star powers, and also it was a lag issue where if one person's got this all-powerful move, how does that relate to what's going on someone else's screen, on a third player screen, a fourth player, fifth player, all the rest of it? If you've got 8 players or so playing a game online, and there's only so much data that can be shared between Xbox consoles and PlayStation consoles, you're going to be limited in what you can offer in a feature. And I think Sumo kind of blindsided by that in the original game, but I think they've overcome that kind of technical limitation now. So
Well, one thing they seem to have done is they've reduced the number of racers. Like I think last game it was 8, and now this time it's 6.
hmm,
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. I didn't notice that actually.
Well, I didn't really realize it until I noticed. Oh wait, there's only 8 racers available, but 2 of them are always missing in every race. So
Yeah,
yeah, it must be 6 people.
yeah. Well, there
I,
were six. There were six screens set up at our press event.
yeah, that could be a big reason as to how they're able to to do that now. If you're serving less players on an internet connection, you've got more data spare, I guess, to send over at the same time to do this sort of thing. I don't know. I didn't actually see. I heard other players using the All-Star moves, but I haven't actually seen them properly for myself.
Yeah, at our
you've seen the
press
All-Star moves?
Yeah, so
at our press
kind of
event, they said
explain.
they weren't even implemented into the game yet, so you couldn't even do an all-star move if you collected it up.
Oh, right. That's probably why I didn't see any for myself. But I did hear like certain CPU characters going, "Rah, rah, rah," and Eggman going, "I'm gonna get you now," and I'm like, "Where is he?" And he's like sixth, and I'm second, and I'm just like, "Oh, I'm never gonna see this, am I?" So, so I kind of felt a bit like, "Oh, crap." But yeah, the way you build up the All-Star moves now seems to be on a star point system. If you perform tricks, drifts, and land them successfully, you get a kind of meter in the corner of the screen that builds up. You collect stars. It's more a bit like a kudos system in Project Gotham or Metropolis Street Racer, where if you do cool things, you get these stars, and they build up in this meter in the corner. And when they get to a certain limit, you can access your All-Star move. That seems to be my understanding of it. But yeah, I haven't actually seen this in action, so
Yeah, the Kuzo system is a good example of. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of both. You're both collecting stars and doing a skill-based drifting and that. So it's not like before where if you suck at the game and you're behind, then they just give you this all-star move. This one you gotta pretty much earn it with your skills and with their star collecting.
And speaking of skills, let's touch on Mario Kart for a second, shall we?
Oh, do you mean
Anyone?
how there's the similarities between this and Mario Kart 7?
No. How
Because
this
there's
is
not
better than
much.
Mario Kart 7?
No, I'm saying because Mario Kart 7 was very, very like vanilla compared to this. There's no big dynamics where they completely change the track. Plus, anytime you're just in the air or underwater, it was just a regular part of the game. Everybody had to pretty much do that, and it didn't really change the dynamics too much.
I did
Yeah.
speak to Sumo about about the kind of stigma of being compared to Mario Kart, because obviously it's the one that came first, and then obviously you got Crash Team Racing and all these other mascot racers that seem to kind of copy the formula. And I said to Sumo, like, how do you kind of feel about the fact that no matter what you do, you kind of, because it's in the same genre, you'd always kind of be
Yeah,
compared to the kind of Mario Kart. And they said, well, according to them, it's kind of done them more favors because according to Sumo, ASR, I think they've been. I don't want to say they've been most successful. I can't quite remember the exact quote, but they've said they've been very, very successful on Nintendo platforms, on the DS and on the Wii, obviously, which they said that they found really surprising because they thought that the Nintendo fans would just basically go along and say, "Well, it's basically a Mario Kart ripoff. I'm not going to buy into it." But it's in fact the opposite happened. All the Mario and Nintendo fans lapped it up because it was more. Not because it was more of the same, but it was an interesting take on an already existing genre that they could understand and already get to grips with. And they mentioned Mario Kart 7 actually, because obviously they'd been working on Transformed before 7 came out or even it was even known about. And I remember the guy from Sumo said they found it really funny because they were about to kind of, you know, implement these ideas in a Transformed and like, oh yeah, what a cool idea, put hoverboats in or put planes in at certain intervals. And then they see Mario Kart 7 being announced by Nintendo and they have all these customization options with the gliders and the rotors for underwater action, and they basically got their heads in their hands going, no.
But this I'm gonna just come out and say it that from what I've played, this is better than Mario Kart because the hang gliders and the underwater submarine thingies, it didn't really change the gameplay that much.
and they only lasted like a
And
few
they
seconds
only
at a time.
lasted for like 10, 20 seconds. It wasn't like a whole part of the course. And but this game, it's faster. It has it has more. It has three kinds of terrain. It has the water areas where you can jostle around and beaten up and down like you're on actual waves. You're not driving underwater with slightly floatier physics, and you're actually flying an airplane. You're not hang gliding down and trying to just get enough lift to get ahead of the other racers. You're actually just flying and racing through canyons and blasting away planets. I mean, it adds so much more to the genre than Mario Kart, really, than any Mario Kart has since
Yeah, I mean
Mario
it's you're
Kart
basically
64.
well since Diddy Kong Racing, I guess you'd say you're basically doing three different styles of racing in one game and sometimes in one course.
And it's faster, and they say it's going to be more skill based. So
Yeah, I think to a degree, Nintendo is a victim of its own success at times because I do remember reading uh, for Mario Kart 7 in particular that there was a bit of pushback internally with Nintendo, with the development team for 7, even like thinking of the idea of providing these customization options. So because it was too far removed from, the classic Mario Kart style of play, like no one's ever put hang gliders on a Mario Kart before. No one's ever put underwater driving with a rotor thing on a Mario Kart game before. So I think from what I understand, a lot of the internal movement was a bit kind of tetchy on it, and they kind of let the development team off and just said, "Well, we'll trust you and do that."
we'll
And it's
trust you to make these slight differences to the formula, and if you
exactly.
don't screw it up, we won't kill you.
Whereas Sega's always been a kind of company to traditionally just go, "Oh, you got a new idea? Hell yeah, let's just throw it in there. Yeah, doesn't matter if it's crap." I mean,
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
let's give Shadow guns.
yeah,
the unfortunate thing is,
Nintendo's great, but at the same time they play it safe compared to Sega.
yeah, and the upshot is Sega on many occasions, particularly with the Dreamcast and Saturn and other things, they were like at least 5 years ahead of their time. But on the downside, it does mean that they've come up with some right stinkers, and unfortunately, the stinkers are the ones that have caught the most attention, whereas the ones where they've been, kind of forward thinking, like Fantasy Star Online way back when, and maybe even Fantasy Star Online 2 coming up, which is free to play. I don't know. They may be kind of commercially kind of ignored, but I don't
Yeah,
see that. I don't see
people
that ESO2 because I mean you can't say no to a free to play game, really, can you? So,
people
but
only people only really care about Sega when it's negative these days. It seems like with the Dreamcast, it was ignored until it died. And then it's a classic, and it's a shame that it died. But I didn't actually play it when it came out. So, um, for the record, I got it like a month before it was discontinued.
Oh god, not me, man. I had to import Dreamcast about a year before the official American release.
But yeah, Mario Kart has its place. But if this game is as good as the demo has led me to believe, or led us to believe, I don't know if you guys agree with me, then Mario Kart is about to finally be dethroned, and largely because Mario Kart has changed very little in the last 10 years.
I wouldn't say dethroned because it's always going to be like a big name in
Well,
kart
it's gonna be big.
racing.
I'm talking about quality, not how well excel, because Mario is definitely a bigger name than Sonic these days. So just through pure branding, Mario Kart's going to crush all
Well, I thought
contenders.
the first Sonic and Sega All Stars was a better quality racing game than previous Mario Kart games I've played
Yeah, but
recently.
Heg's problems like the courses reused a lot of assets, and there was some balancing issues with the motorcycles, which they say that which they say that they've fixed, or that
Yeah,
they at least haven't noticed.
that's the one thing I'm going to be
But
happy about. We talked to them about whether they're going to be using the same assets over and over. Like the 3 or 4 Billy Hatcher levels, 3 or 4 Jet Set radios, and according to him, all 16 tracks will be based on 16 unique games.
yes. Of course, we
and
probably shouldn't reveal any more from our interview because we want people to actually watch the interviews, which will be debuting on Sonic Stadium and Sega Bix tomorrow at 7 a.m. Pacific time. Um, due to an NDA, we had to delay it until then.
Right.
So okay, so I personally like to into the character wish list now.
Oh, now you know, we could spend forever doing this.
Yeah, well, we only have like 10 minutes, so.
Well, one thing I wanted to bring up was the title, though, before we do that, because I'm not that happy. I know they shrunk it down just because they didn't want the title to be too long, but I'm still not that happy that they took Sega out of Sega All Stars Racing. I have no problem with the subtitle, The Transformed, but I mean, there's a lot of ways they can go about it. I think that either maybe Sonic and Sega Racing, or
Sonic and Sega Racing.
Sonic and
The
Sega.
quickening.
Yeah, or Sonic and Sega Stars Racing. So
Oh God,
because
not
there's
stars.
a stars
Just not
focus in
cute.
the game, so that would actually be okay.
No.
Even
But
Sonic
Sonic
and
and
the
Sega
All
Racing
Stars,
could
because
work.
Sonic and All Stars just sounds off. Doesn't sound like proper English, you know.
How about let's just do Sega All Stars Racing? No, we need that Sonic branding so people will buy it.
Why don't you just call it Sonic and Sonic Racing with Sega?
With Sonic and an assload of other characters.
Yeah, just call it, or for bigger impact, you just call it Sonic and Sonic.
And another thing that they said was that they're still in talks to get guest characters in there. So we could have had Sonic and Sega All Stars Racing transformed with Ratchet and Clank, or with Mario and Friends, or.
What I'd really like to see Axel Stone from Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
That
Oh
would be
yes. Okay. Character wish list. Yeah. Axel Stone. He would go great in the little police car, right?
Or yeah, in a police car, or anyone from Streets of Rage. Really, I think Axel might be a bit too vanilla, unless his all-star move is just him running along, grand up-haring everyone. Grand up.
Maybe maybe his all-star move could be like whacking people with pipes from his car, or no, in the game there's like a special move where you're in a police car and you shoot and like shoot rockets or something. That should be the all-star move. And
That
it
would be.
just lays the track down with fire.
Or they could have like Bayonetta with a vehicle made of her own hair.
Oh, I don't really think she needs that. I think that she has a motorcycle from the game, so I imagine she could just drive the motorcycle. Then her all-star move could be a giant monster thingy from the game where she made of her hair, and of course they cover up a bit more of her than they normally do, and she eats players and spits them out.
That could be her all-star move right there.
Now, when this game was first rumored, I said I really wanted to see Segato Sanshiro riding on a Sega Saturn.
That would be
Now,
awesome.
Now his all-star move would be he would get off of the Saturn, he would put it on his back, he'd run down the track, and they'd start playing his theme song, Segata Sanshiro, Segata Sanshiro, and the commercial, transparent version of the commercials would go across everyone's screens, and everyone could barely see as they get plowed by this awesome guy with a Sega Saturn on his back.
Unfortunately, that would be more obscure than even the Bonanza Brothers was.
I don't care. I want it. I want my Segato Sanshiro. We need Segato Sanshiro.
It's funny really, because I mean you can reference and even ask in terms of character requests so many different characters from Sega's past, so many Sega's history. But I mean, if you sat down and thought about the kind of really iconic characters that Sega has today in franchises that are running today, like modern franchises, I struggle to count more than five. I mean, there's Kazuma Kiryu from Ryugu Gotoku, Yakuza series. There's obviously Sonic. God, help me out here. There's Akira Yuki from Virtua Fighter, maybe.
See, there's Bayonetta, like I mentioned.
Bayonetta. Some of the characters from the Platinum series, maybe.
Yeah,
But,
Sam
from Mad World and Anarchy Reigns.
Yeah. And that Sam guy from Vanquish.
Yeah. And let's see. The people of Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2, I guess. Ethan from Phantasy Star Universe, so I guess that's kind of old by now.
No, I hate him.
Maybe
Oh,
put in the Rhythm Thief.
Valkyria, yeah, Rhythm Thief, of
Rhythm
course.
Thief's a cool one.
And then
Yeah.
there's Valkyria Chronicles. Of course, that series introduces a different main cast every game.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the recurring character seems to be either the main character, I've forgotten his name, or Alicia. I remember her name because she has nice tits.
I don't think we see her tits.
No, you don't, but I mean, you know, she's like the cutesified kind of moe character that they, that's kind of leads the whole anime style thing that always happens in Japanese thing. But yeah, I mean, you know,
Personally, I would like to see someone from Panzer Dragoon. I suppose since the dragons are so large, we probably couldn't have someone riding a dragon, but maybe Edge or Orta riding some other random vehicle, or Lundy, or
I think
because they have other vehicles.
the level itself is going to be its a reference. I don't think you're going to have an actual rider probably.
I guess. Oh, well, we'll get tracks in a second, I guess, but let's see. We obviously need to have Nikes. That's not even really a question. He just has to be in it.
I
And
want to play as
Riss.
Flagman. So
Yeah, there you go,
he's,
Flagman.
for too long, he's been relegated to the side of the track with just a flag to his name. But I want to see him drive that Ferrari. I want to see him go for gold.
Hear that, Sumo? Flagman from Outrun 2. Go do it.
Yeah, I could be breakdancing in his little outrun car, going crazy.
And let's see. We also need to get Ristar. Whom they actually said, oh no, Ristar won't work, but we'll have him cameo in this DLC track. I don't see why Ristar wouldn't work.
What could he ride on, though?
A drag. I'm sorry. Still a master.
He could ride anything. He just has to think it in his heart.
A car. He can ride a car.
A
You
star.
know, yeah, I guess a sports car with a little star theme going for it. It doesn't have to be anything in canon with the series. I mean, look at Vice. He's riding a mini Delphinus that looks like a Model T. You didn't see any Model Ts in Skies of Arcadia.
That's true.
Yeah.
Of course, if they did have cars in Skies of Arcadia, I imagine they'd be Model Ts or something like that. And let's see. We also need to have. Let's see. I had this whole list.
Clockwork Knight would probably work out pretty
Yeah,
well as far as
Clockwork Knight would
vehicles.
work. He has a horse that he can ride, and it's like on wheels and stuff.
He's
And
slightly more obscure.
I would love to see a bunch of vehicles done in like a clockwork style just to suit his world. That would be wicked.
Yeah.
And as for Sonic characters, we need to get Fang the Weasel on his Marvelous Queen, and we need to get Blaze the Cat.
We could have
Yes.
Blaze the Cat, a Blaze from Streets of Rage, and El Blaze riding in a blazing car.
Oh God, they're horrible. Let's see. Come on, what else was there? Oh yes, we need we need the any of the ninjas from any of the Shinobi games, preferably Shinobi 3 or Shinobi 3DS, because I prefer their designs. I think the Shinobi, I think Joe Musashi from the original Shinobi looks a tad too generic. So Joe Musashi or Oboro Musashi from 3 and 3DS. Either of those, Sumo.
Why
And,
not? I think we should have some characters from the Stormrise games,
ew!
which there are one.
We don't need anyone from the Stormrise games, I don't think.
They could get one of the characters that's in those Jeeps in Renegade Ops.
Yeah.
Mate, I would love to play as the general for Renegade Ops. He is mental. I love him to bits. Who is this? Identify yourself, damn it! I would love to hear him win. Just like ultimate victory, mofo, or something,
Well, I probably couldn't sing Mofo, unfortunately.
He's the man with the plan. Well, of course he can't, but he
Ultimate victory. Beep! Let's see. Well, oh yes, I want to see some racing cars in this too. Could you imagine the virtual racing car rendered in this with the same amount of polygons, except they give it personality, so it'll like move around and stuff, kind of like an anthropomorphized car.
Well, that's what
What,
they did with the
like her?
Daytona car back in Sonic Fighters Megamix.
Yeah, I also want to see the Hornet. That too, the Hornet and the virtual racing car. In the virtual racing car, they can use the same amount of polygons, so it'll take like 5 minutes to put in there because it's like it has 10 polygons in it.
Who would drive these cars though? I mean,
I would.
are we assuming that they'll have like lives like Herbie or something?
Oh. Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, just give them their a soul. Just give the
Just give
cars a
them
soul.
the cars a personality, you know.
So, give him a happy face. Play as Testarossa from Outrun 2 and don't have anyone in it. And then wins. Just have it on the podium. It's high leg. Yes, like the Daytona car in Fighters Megamix that you could play as,
Yeah,
or that cactus dude. Who was the cactus dude in Fighters Megamix? I can't remember.
I really don't remember. I remember the car and the panda.
You should play. You ought to play as the panda from Fighters Megamix.
No, I think it
You
was.
should be able
I
to
don't
play.
think it was even a panda. It was like some sort of bear thing.
You should be able to play as Fighters Megamix.
um.
They could have
So
Cream
yeah.
the Rabbit riding Shadow's motorcycle like that Archie cover.
We don't need Cream the Rabbit. Bah. Let's see. Oh, we also need G and Washington and an ice cream truck.
I would love to have G in it, if only because you could overtake him in a race and have him go all the way down to sixth or eighth or whatever it is now, and then you can taunt him with suffer like G did.
There you go.
Uh,
Yeah, because the House of the Dead characters he used last time were just from some obscure Japanese game that
yeah,
never
Zobio
came
and
over to the
Zopico.
States. Yeah, Zombio and
Personally,
Zombico, and they never came over here before.
yeah. So
That's the one thing
and
I'll say about Sumo Digital. They're willing to use the most obscure Sega characters they can find to throw into the game.
though, if they were to cut any characters from the last game, I want it to be Zobio and Zopico because they like have no nostalgic factor for me. They're not even really all that old, and
It was more of a
I
spin-off.
could live without them.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, and another character I think might get cut because really the reason why he was so cool last time was because he was driving a little moped. But I think Big the Cat might get cut this time because they're not. I don't really think they're doing mopeds this time around. So or scooters, whatever he was riding. So
I don't know.
with
I
that
think it'd be
joke
funny to
gone,
have them in
Tricycles.
tinier vehicles, and I can only imagine what Big the Cat's little flying machine would be, just
oh
barely
god.
keeping him up in the air.
I'd like there to be a tricycle mode in the game, so everyone rides a tricycle.
Oh, I asked the developers about 1970s trouser mode.
Oh, you did?
They had no idea what it was, so I didn't actually ask them in the interview. Where does that come from? Is that a Sonic Stadium thing?
That's an SSMB thing, yeah. That's you can blame Hogfather for that one. I think that's the craze he started up.
Okay, I wanted to ask them. I asked them beforehand to see, do you even know what to say? See if they even knew what it was. And they said, "What are you talking about?" I was like, god damn it, 1970s trouser mode from Sonic Stadium. I guess I'll probably have to ask Soul about it at some point.
Yeah, I think Steve would be the one that would know if anything. But
But
yeah,
so tracks. Let's do tracks real quick. I would
Okay.
personally like this. Go on.
Let's see but according to those little Lego little toys that are coming out, I guess in England, there looks like there might be some Sonic related tracks from
Mechanic.
the classic era, like Green Hill Zone and Sonic Chemical Plant, and I think Angel Island or something. One of the others.
No. I wish it was Angel Island. The three were the
Green
two that you
Hill,
mentioned
Chemical
and
Plant,
Casino Street.
Casino
Street from Sonic 4. Which really irritates me. Sonic 3 has had such difficulties getting any of its levels remade. Yeah, it didn't happen in Sonic Generations, and it's not. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen in this game either.
I
It's
wonder if
kind
that
of
has
just.
anything to do with Michael Jackson's involvement in Sonic 3.
It doesn't have anything to do with Michael
Because
Jackson.
wouldn't some of that music that he produced become licensed to him?
No,
No,
no. If that were the case, they would have had to have used all new tracks in subsequent re-releases.
that's true.
So, Dread, what tracks do you want to see?
I would love to see the test track from Daytona USA, the oval track. Even if it's just an oval track, I don't
Yeah.
care. But you can have it. You can just have the exact same graphics as the arcade original. Have them drive along, and then open with the Rolling
Oh
Star.
God, yes. That is exactly what I wanted to see.
I mean, that would be wicked. Even as like a bonus level or something, it would
Yeah,
be
because understandably it is kind of simple. So,
You could do like for the first lap, you could just do like the straightforward oval shape, and then have the whole thing transform or something as you play it. I don't know. Like there's an earthquake, and I don't know, Iblis comes out of the ground, and you have to go down into the Earth's core on your hoverboat, and I don't know where I'm going with this, but you know what I mean. You can transform it somehow. I don't
yeah.
know.
Maybe you get sent off into the air and you fly through the Sonic carving in the mountain, and that reveals a whole new world to drive through.
I would like to see
Yeah.
like maybe a Valkyria Chronicles track where you're actually going through the muddy tracks during the war and you're having to dodge all the gunfire and tank fire going past you.
I would
Yeah.
personally like to see a. God damn, it was in my head just a second now. I would personally like to see a. How does this always happen?
How about a Comic Zone track where it's constantly
I actually was thinking
writing
about
and
that.
changing, not writing, but drawing and coloring the tracks differently for the different dynamics. A giant hand will come in and draw it and
That'd be
change up
sweet.
everything.
Well, I can't remember what I was going to say, so I'll say one of my other choices. Oh yes, I would personally like to see the harbor from Shenmue, Yokosuka Harbor. Uh, where that would just be so awesome. You can be like driving through the warehouses. You can hit a jump and fly over the boat, and that the Ryo Hazuki eventually takes the Fight Landi, and you can drive through the warehouse, and you can maybe see Ryo Hazuki fighting off some sailors or something. Or no, you drive into the sailors and they get knocked around.
That would be wicked. Driving around on a harbour in a forklift truck. And you could have the music playing in the background like that. It'd be the most boring thing ever because Ryo Hazuki has the most boring life ever. I mean honestly, he must think he's in a monochrome silent movie or something because he goes around, gets into all these epic fights, tracks down the man who murdered his father, goes through all his bollocks, and then goes to Hong Kong. And throughout, at no point during his adventure does he sound like he has an emotion brain. Like, see,
No, it's just sterile face
uh,
through the whole thing.
Excuse me, have you seen some sailors?
like the day when it snowed. Did you see any men in black suits? Yeah, they're the ones that murdered your dad. Do you think you have some kind of emotion there? It's like, I'm not sure. I saw this video. I haven't played Shenmue in a while, but I remember Tom, the Burger Man Van Man Tom, and he's outside with his dreadlocks and stuff. There's a video on YouTube of him talking to Rio, and the description says, "I have no idea what accent the guy playing as Tom is supposed to have," and it's like, yeah, it's like some really bad version of some kind of Rastafarian Geordie Chinese, Japanese hybrid thing. It's just, no, I don't know where you're going. I was like, what the hell? Tom should be a bonus character.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Driving his hot dog truck.
Yeah,
Um,
I dig it.
I'd
I'd like to see somewhere from Streets of Rage. Like there are many highway levels in Streets of Rage, but I mean, you could do
yeah.
something like there's a level that goes from the beach into the jungle and stuff. That would probably be quite an interesting one.
I'd love to
I've
see the
only ever
first
seen
level from Crazy Taxi included
but
in the racing
that's
track.
like isn't that like San Francisco or New York City?
Similar to San Francisco, it is.
I don't think we need a generic city track. I think we need to. I
Well,
think we need things that
the first
you
one isn't
know.
very generic. I mean, you got tons of uphill climbing and downhill and lots of little swoops and everything. I
Mm,
don't know. I really like the first Crazy Taxi as far as the city goes.
You could have a special power up unique to that stage, which is basically people, and you could shoot people at other cars,
oh my
and
god!
people would like just literally sit in their cars and go, "Take me to the KFC," and they basically top heavy their car so that they're just riding on their back wheels and their front wheels are up in the air because the fat guy wants to go to curve shoot. He's like sitting in the back going, "You lousy driver." I remember playing Crazy Taxi ages way back when, and the bit that gets me the most, my funniest thing is you pick up a reverend in the black kind of suit and like God preaching, he's holding a Bible and all sorts, and he goes, "Whoa, you got here on time. Take me to the church." So you go to the church, right? And because you drop him off, you go through all this different stuff. You get the A grade. You go through all these jumps and everything. You get to the church on the top of the hill, and he goes when he hops out. He I think the game forgets that he's actually a specific character. He's a reverend. So he gets out and he goes, "Wow, you're one hell of a driver." Awesome. Oh, Crazy Taxi.
Yeah, there. Never mind.
I mean, if you had a Crazy Taxi level, the only thing that you could make it to be more memorable than just San Francisco with added hills is the Offspring. And judging by the fact that Sega's released Crazy Taxi a couple of times without the Offspring soundtrack to it, because obviously they lost the rights to it, I don't know. Don't know if it kind of makes sense. What if there was a Puyo Pop Fever stage for some bizarre reason? Like multicolored beans flying around, stupid anime characters falling over themselves, and
Oh, it would be colorful.
cats that turn into stupid huge bosses.
Yeah, there's
Did
some.
you play Pop Fever?
I
I've seen it.
I think I had a DS or Game Boy Advance game that was Puyo Pop.
It's
That
a
was a
game,
while back.
but it's absurd, really. I mean, in its storyline, and it's just crap, really. I mean, it's good. It's good gameplay wise, but I mean, it's crap in terms of its generic Japanese anime characters going around with this really stupid storyline, like, "Oh, my teacher's lost her stick. I gotta go find her stick." And then you bump into all these different characters on the way, and they go, "I will challenge you to a bean fight." And it's like, what?
A
And then
bean
at the end
fight.
of it, you realise that the black cat, which ends up being the teacher's black cat, has stolen the stick, and the stick is magical or something, and it transforms the cat to be some big omnipotent god. And the only way you can beat it is by having a bean match. You end up having a bean match with it, and then it shrinks, and you're like, "Well, what the hell did I just play?" The game's good, but the story's naff.
I think that's why they stick with the Robotnik bean machine in the West, because you don't have to have a big story with that. It's just robots are training to be the best robots for Robotnik. That's pretty much it.
Oh
but
yeah.
we've going back to the tracks.
Yeah, because we went off track quite a bit.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes, yes. You're very funny, Mr. Pun Person. But about the tracks, I think we need Windy Valley from Nikes. Um, Fantasy Zone from well, the Fantasy Zone would be cool, especially if they worked in some Space Harrier into that. And Ristar also has a bunch of really beautiful worlds that will look really nice in a 3D, especially if they can't get him as a racer, they can at least render one of his courses.
Yeah.
Maybe Zaxxon, where you're like in outer space and having to race through paths with those giant walls coming up, and you only have the tiny little path to get through.
Now
That opens
that
up.
now that would be old school Sega right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so those are the courses and the characters we'd like to see. Anything else? Hello?
Wouldn't it be funny if somehow they implemented some Project D in there? It probably wouldn't happen because of licensing for the Vocaloid stuff, but Sega being like all up in Miku, Hatsune Miku stuff, I probably wouldn't put it past them for at least a Japanese version where they would put some kind of Hatsune Miku thing in there, some kind of weird tweak or bonus.
Well, yeah, but she's like a licensed character that they make games for, right?
Yeah, and it would make re-releasing the game a bit more difficult if they took some work into someone like Hatsune Miku. I guess they could always cut her.
I was
Well,
shocked that they brought the iPhone game that had her in it into the America. That's the first time I think they have an official Hatsune Miku game in the America and Europe.
Well, there's a level, a bonus level in Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz on a Vita. In the Japanese version, if you buy the first print of it, you get a code that allows you to load up a very special level, and it's essentially based on a Japanese model. And when I say
Yeah.
model, I mean topless model almost, and you're basically rolling around on her breasts all over the map and seeing really gravure pictures of her all over the place. That's something I don't see translating well to the West.
No, I don't think you'll be seeing that over here anytime soon.
Exactly.
They need to have a Super Monkey Ball game with old woman boob physics.
Yeah. So something like a Japan thing with Miku or something probably would be beyond the realm of impossibility. It would be improbable, not impossible.
Oh,
Yeah,
and just to make Shady happy, we also need a Fantasy Star Online track.
that
I would love.
would be pretty easy to do. I mean, they just constantly go to different places, so the only and the outer space could be the flying level. I don't know what the water level part could be.
Oh, well, there is a portion where you're on a raft going through an underwater cave.
Being
Oh,
chased by that bloody annoying boss, Daryl Lee.
yeah.
What a pain in the butt.
Oh, speaking of underwater, now you got me. Now I wouldn't make a great track. Let's Go Jungle. I
Ooh.
think would make a awesome track.
That would be quite funny, actually. The characters in that game freak me out, though.
Oh God, yeah.
They're so over
I
the
played
top.
through that game once, and it was just weird as all hell.
I think it's some kind of Japanese like comedy design that they have, like, with the noses in particular, because you see that sort of stuff in kabuki theatre, kind of masks like noses that are kind of really defined, like the ones in Let's Go Jungle, and they're in. I think it's kind of some kind of comedy thing, but yeah, that just creeps me out.
Oh yes, and Sailor's Island from Skies of Arcadia. That level can have a lot of flying.
You could have Rio in it, going, "I'm looking for some sailors."
There you go.
All right, so
Yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for us. If you have a favorite character or track you'd like to see in the game, you can leave a comment here on the website or on our Twitter page on Sonic Talk or at Sega Bits. I'd like to thank everyone for showing up today. Thank you very much, Alex.
You're welcome, sir.
And thank you so much, Sven, for
coming
in this morning.
You,
Oh, my pleasure, you guys. Sonic Talk! Oh,
yes! Sonic Talk has Venny's official endorsement, so that means you have to listen to it every single other week. Because this is our last weekly show. After this, we're going to take a nice little 2-week break, so we'll be seeing you in May.
Yeah, at least 2 weeks.
Dread Monte, he say yay.
So we should.
Yay!
Yeah, we want to collect up the news because we haven't had too much from being weekly all the time.
Yeah, we did this whole weekly thing for the last 3 shows, partially because we happened to get Ian Flynn last week, but also because we went like nearly a month without anything. So we're making it up to you guys.
All right. Well, thank you very much for listening, and cue the ending song.